must be having too many dots to connect right now, right? So you're almost overwhelmed with all the dots that you have. And I'm conscious this is the last session, and I'll try to keep it as light as possible. But the topic is not a light topic. The topic is about safety, about lives, right? So it is bound to get a little serious, so let's deal with it. Uh, why is this topic important for us? I think we are living in a country where about 170,000 people lose their lives on the road, right? That's almost approximately 500 people losing their lives every day on the road. So it's not a joke, right? Automotive, vehicular safety, pedestrian safety is a very serious topic, right? So historically, all such serious problems have been sorted by technology. Technology has come to the rescue and sorted these problems out. Now let's hope that the technology in connected vehicles, autonomous ADAS, helps us not just come back to a point where the technology is helping us meet the levels that humans have been able to achieve, right? That has not been a great success. As we can see it from India, there are about 450, 500 lives being lost. In fact, we have to cross this particular stage and, reach a point when it has become safer to drive on the roads, right? So with that objective in mind, let's get started. And let me introduce myself. I'm Darshan Kudva. I'm part of PricewaterhouseCoopers Automotive Consulting. So our role is to partner with all the industry participants in helping them solve complex, large problems. And in connected vehicles, there are enough of that. So we have our own role to play as well. So with that introduction, let me invite all the panelists and request you to all introduce yourself, and at the end of the introduction, also tell us your favorite ADAS feature.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Sreekanta Gupta, Senior Principal, Advanced Engineering Group, part of Infosys Advanced Engineering Group. I currently head the Center of Excellence for the Robotics and Autonomous Technology practice within Infosys. It is a quite exciting opportunity for me to be there on the dais and part of this panel discussion with especially the interesting topic around on the connected autonomous and electric mobility, which is quite a hot topic as Darshan just mentioned about in terms of the safety, in terms of the compliance, the regulatory, which is making a really quite a challenging in terms of implementing most of the advanced technology into the day-to-day life. As being a common person in terms of utilization of the technology, for me in terms of blind spot detection and also the line departure warning are the two most important ADAS element which is really helpful for the Indian specific traffic scenarios, because the kind of traffic we are able to see, the kind of traffic environment, the kind of awareness of the technology for the end user to adopt, which is really more important for us to translate the technology onto the common man who can able to utilize this technology in a right perspective for the right purpose. Because we know the consumer behavior, especially in the Indian market, where the technologies are getting exploited to the maximum extent. So they do a lot of research on the technology in terms of the adoption level rather than using the technology for the right purpose. So it is really extremely important for the industry like us to understand the end customer behavior and try to come up with the kind of a technology which is more relevant, more practical, more absorbable for the mass implementation. That's what I feel about ADAS in the Indian scenario.
Sure. Welcome, Dr. Sreekant.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. So my name is Vinayaka Nagaraja. I am from Continental Automotive. I am responsible for Japan, Korea, India projects out of Bangalore. So from my side, it's hands down, it is autonomous emergency braking. In Indian conditions, I think even a second you take your eye off, some mishap is right just around the corner. So for me, I think that's the most important feature. And that is also, it's good to see Manish was talking about the implementation will soon happen, but at least 2027 is not too far. So let's see it comes through. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Hitesh.
Hi, very good evening, everyone. My name is Hitesh Garg. I'm leading the NXP Semiconductors in India. So we are the semiconductor technology providers for the automotive industry, end to end, be it on the battery management, be it on the sensing side, connectivity side, or edge processing. Uh, I think that's where our play is. For sure, we are building these technologies for nice features, ADAS features. My personal favorite is the lane departure, right? Because here people keep on changing the lanes very frequently. If we can avoid that or create some warning for other people, so that's what will be more safer.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ujjwala Karle from Arai. I lead technology group of Arai, which works on the emerging technologies. I lead also Swayango program of Arai, which talks of, by name says, autonomous vehicle or ADAS program. And I also head Digital Twin Lab in Arai. So all three names you can look and correlate that I'm going to talk something very hi-fi. And it's true. Uh, when I've been hearing and listening to people, and when I heard your question, not heard, read your question when you shared, I've been thinking about what can really I rate as my best or the best thing which I believe will work in Indian context. And it's my colleague with whom while discussing, we have come up with this name, which I believe is something which is required for the Indian part and context. It is not a conventional A, B, A, K, L case and something like that. What I renamed it as a Saksham. It's a situational awareness and knowledge system for holistic autonomy management. This is the first time that I'm referring to something which is written because I'm still thinking with this name, but I believe this is what we need. We have such a complex scenarios and situations, and as you rightly said, we have to solve our challenges. Our problems need to be solved. And if we have to do that, the conventional systems are not going to be directly useful. It has to be looked into how we are going to solve our challenges by itself. Lane keepers is where we do not have lanes, how we are going to do it. We don't have to be really very different. We all know the driver behavior is different. The traffic behavior is different, traffic signs are different, infrastructure is different. In all these, and different not with respect to the global, within India it is different. The responses which are in, say, if I drive in Delhi versus Mumbai to Pune to Bangalore to Chennai to rural to urban is going to be different. And which is the system which is going to respond and ensure that we are driving safely on those things. And this has to be empowered Saksham. And that is what I looked at. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You've given us a nice term, and it kind of summarizes everything about ADAS and autonomous vehicles. So, I again welcome everybody to the discussion today, and I think we have a diverse set of representatives, right? We have the regulatory authorities, we have software developers, we have the chip developers, we have the component suppliers, and of course all of us are all pedestrians, drivers, passengers, commuters, So I think the ecosystem is well represented. Now, let me start by asking a very pivotal question, and then I would let you take your own time to, explain why do you think that's the case as far as India is concerned. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you were to rate, where does India lie in its readiness for ADAS and autonomous vehicles, right? Please let me know your rating, and also why do you think this is the rating you are giving? Feel free to rate anywhere between 1 to 10. Yeah, maybe Sreekant, you can start.
Okay. So, very interesting question. So, I have two different answers for it. One is to the ADAS, other for the EV. For India, more or less what is really required based on the traffic patterns, based on the consumer behavior, the way he is going to drive the vehicle, and the kind of environment that we operate. ADAS, still it has to mature. I can give in the range between 3 to 4 in terms of the adaptability. Though the technology is there, but cost of implementation, adoption level of those technology component for the day-to-day life is still a challenge. The second is in terms of usage of the ADAS facility. It has to be given a kind of a situation awareness for him to make him more safer, for him to commute, and also he should be able to drive the vehicle safe enough in the given traffic condition. But the situation is so happening because of the infrastructural changes which is demanding to become much more effective. There is a lag in the Indian specific scenario. That is causing more to switch off the ADAS feature and try to become a manual mode and try to go which is convenient to the end user. That is the reason in terms of the ADAS adaptability, you need to make much more which is assistance to the human in the way to the India specific demographic conditions. But definitely if you compare the western side of the traffic condition, there is all is infrastructure is well established, process is established, there's a discipline, everything is there. But we are in a little different demography. As Madam talked about, the traffic conditions, driving behavior condition vary from Delhi to Mumbai to Bangalore to Chennai to rural part. So in that perspective, we need to make a good awareness to the user in terms of how the technology is going to assist him through the ADAS. Then only the adaptability, maturity level go to the next level. When it comes to the AV, AV is still, it is another 1 decade to get adapted to the full L4 to L5 kind of autonomy in the current traffic scenario, because the technology had to be matured. Lot of challenges in terms of adoption of various technologies such as like lidar assisted technology, vision assisted technology, which is good, which is bad, which is PI intensive, which is not PI intensive. So many of the things has to be unanswered right now, which has to be answered. And also the technology component has to play a vital role in terms of reduction of these features, which is viable for any commuter to utilize such kind of a AV vehicle. So in this perspective, AV take a little longer in terms of the ranking wise, in terms of adaptability. ADAS can able to move faster, provided we could able to make more of situation awareness to the end user, and also the technology is reachable in a right perspective.
Do you want to give a score?
ADAS, it is around 4. Okay, AV is on less than 3.
Less than 3.
Yeah.
4 and less than 3. Vinayak.
Okay. So I think rating system is good, top 10 ratings and top 5 ratings. But I think this is a very serious matter because India is cruising towards becoming the third largest, the production in terms of manufacturing the vehicles, and also we are also consuming it lots. And if you put that into demographics, which the co-panelist was talking about, is in our country, the road is not standard. Yeah, there is no standard markings, there is no standard signs, but we have all kinds of users in the road. Yeah, so in terms of having the third largest, vehicles in terms of production and so on, that on top of that, the road is not so organized. So that makes India should be ready. Is India ready? India is ready or not is another question. But I think the question or the thought which is very important is India needs it, because the number of vehicles we are putting on the road is so many. The density of the road users is so high. The discipline in the driving is not there. The vehicles are not compliant to safety. So if you put all these mixtures together, it makes a really serious question, serious statement to have this ADAS now. So in terms of the ratings, I think you know what rating I'm talking about. So I would say 1 to 10 should all have a prefix of A. That is action item 1, action item 2, action item 3. All 10 have to be filled up. And that is very, very important for us, because I can tell you with experience, right now we are developing a low-speed application. And the kind of variance which is there in our perception system, which we need to bring into the system, is far greater than anything else. Any system could work in a structured, well-planned city, it could work. But if we bring to India, it will not work. It will make the car expensive because you are bringing a lot of components. The manufacturing system has to be changed, has to be adopted from the OEM, the automakers. And then once you bring it to the final consumers, they have paid more for this system. And then finally, if it doesn't work, they switch off the system. So that means you're basically selling something which the user is not using. And then you put back my original statement regarding being the third largest vehicle manufacturer and the density of the road usage. This is a very serious question. So that is where it becomes very, very important that we all recognize, that we have a need for it. Because at Continental, we recognized this need 30 years ago, in terms of bringing the other autonomous system. So I don't need to list anything, but that's there, in terms of radars or later towards the camera and so on. But those things are there. But since the context is from India perspective, so that's where I wanted to say we are not ready. I can clearly say whether we need it, 10 on 10. We need it now. We need it yesterday. Yeah, we need it every day. But whether we will be able to use it, I have my own doubts. And that's where we all need to work together. That's where we are in business today. And it's a very serious topic about, ma'am gave a very good name. But for me, it is nothing but just safety. When I step onto the road, I should be assured I come back. Yeah. So that's how I see it. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Vinayak. So your key points are we have to be more action oriented. Whatever is the score, we have to have action to go to the next level of scoring. And the other thing that you also talked about, point well taken, is it is not just product market fit. You want to have product market price fit, right? So that's when you make the solution adoptable to the masses.
Yeah, two sides to the coin: affordability, usability. Yeah, usability. So both have to be
going hand in hand. Got it. Thank you so much. Hitesh, you want to go next, please?
Yeah, I think so. I will talk in terms of the possibilities, right? If I look at the in terms of what the possibilities are, where we can reach from the technology enablement perspective, we are, I would say, just at the starting point from that. Of course, automotive is a large industry. Also, we have to take care of all the safety, security criteria in mind. So adaptability takes time. But one thing which I see is the pace of the technology is very, very high. So there are thousands of startups in this country which are doing really fantastic work. Ma'am talk about a name. I have a similar name in mind. It's called Swamvat Robots. I don't know if you have seen that. So these are the guys who just on any car they put a system, and then that system can even run autonomously on a village kind of a road. So there are no lanes, but they create virtual lanes to run their cars at a 30-40 kilometers per hour speed. So what I'm very hopeful is the kind of technologies that we are building in terms of low-cost radars, lidars, cameras, bringing AI on the edge. So there are a lot of parallel developments happening in the technology. So huge options available for software teams, for system teams to use these technologies to come with really advanced, flexible features which can be easily adaptable. And I think the way we are going into software-defined vehicles, the architecture of the softwares are becoming easier, adaptable. So that also gives more flexibility, not only at the start of the vehicle that we need to have all these features, but they can also be upgraded with the newer features during the lifetime of the vehicle. So I'm very hopeful. We are at the start, but maybe 5 years you will see a complete transformation.
Thank you. Ma'am.
I think everybody has answered what I'm saying. But still, I'd like to add only one point, I believe. As everybody said, it's a need. It's optimism that we have. If you look into human perspectives that such surveys have been taken, people want it. So it's also the people requirement to do it. When we say safety, we all said that to drive or improve on a safety, we need ADAS. Actually, I always believe that if it is not going to help on reducing accident and accident deaths, it's just meaningless for us. And to ensure that, it has to be India fit. India fit, as you rightly said, cost, application, usability, all those things coming into picture. It also has to looking into perspective that whether this is going to solve my challenges at all levels, or a small incremental benefits are also okay for us to see. If we really want to say 1 point, we all want to go to vision 0, where we are saying we will have 0 accidental deaths. But whether this 1% reduction is possible, actionable point, right? We want to change our infrastructure. Yes, actionable point, sure. But what we have today, can we move incrementally further with the innovation or the applications that is going to solve our challenges, is something what we are looking at. If we can have a magic wand which will give from 170 to 0, nothing like that, but that's not there. right? So we have to look into the incremental, what is going to be more and more impactful for us to solve our problem and challenges, which is what we are needing. And it is not directly, as he also said from Conti background, that it's not directly adaptable. It's we have to adjust and solve our own challenges to solve a particular point. It could be blind spot, it could be driver, it could be AEB, it could be lane. Whatever we decide upon for different type segments, it has to be solving that problem at least incrementally above what it is today. That's what I believe.
On that note, do you have any particular area where you think this is the hot button that needs to be solved for right now, so that the next level of progress can happen?
Uh, I think what I believe is Indian database and use cases which could be made available to people for validate, and it should be together. It should be on consortium basis. It should be people who could use this and validate it more and more. That is what the key is. Actually, Manish sir also talk about Indian city requirements, which is typical, which I normally talk about. Actually, 1.7 is also my favorite topic to talk about. The same is my other topic is where do we really want to validate on the Indian roads? And making it Indian roads available and running is risky. So we do it in some kind of labs and tracks and simulations. So we all know that simulation will give raise to X matrix combinations therein. We should have a film city, that I always call it, as a which we can cater and make it the way we want to have. Different lanes, different markings, different linguistic parts, different vehicles coming onto the road, different road objects coming onto the road. In the village or in the highways, we get cows. So can we have all those things simulated, kind of a film city there, and do it? This is what I believe, and a simulation environment together with the Indian use cases part. A robust V&V setup is something which is needed, which I call is integrated verification and validation systems.
Got it. Fantastic, ma'am. But do you think that's sufficient? Where I'm coming from is there are many ethical challenges associated with the data sets, right? Now, when you are facing a dilemma, whom do you protect, right? Whether should it be the driver, or should it be the software manufacturer, should it be the pedestrian, should it be the infrastructure? There are many questions that arise. So, what has been your thought around the ethical side of things, on the ethical dilemma side of things, if you can elaborate,
I think
please?
globally people are working on it. I don't have to be very different on that part. Empathy and ethics is the key part when as we grow on level of autonomy. Currently, what we do have is level 2 plus some cases, and some Indian use cases that we are adding it to cross traffic and something. So naturally, conventionally, we still have a control in driver's hand, right? With level 2 there. So naturally, the first use case becomes a driver, but it also has to be looked into a perspective where how the validation has been handled, minimum use cases boundaries. That's where the verification validation comes into place. But on the normal answer for level 2, it still will be the vehicle driver, which is the problem. We have to really address the challenge of driver training, user function, like how to use that. It's not a gaming point where we have to really extreme that. Creating the boundaries, training people to aware of the boundaries, and validating those boundaries in reality is the key part for the success of ADAS.
Got it. Maybe in the next question I can address to both Hitesh and Vinayaka. You both represent multinational firms, right? So there's a tendency that most of the developments happen in US and Europe, whereas India is a different animal, right? There are certain things that are common that you can borrow from there, but at the same time they have to be developed and adopted for India, like ma'am was saying, the kind of unique situation that we have in our country. And also the question of cost of the components, right? At the end of the day, it has to be affordable for the Indian consumer. So with these different constraints, how do you think the technology is being developed for the country? How the adaptation is being, from a development side, how is it happening that's suitable for India?
If I may go first, I think this is a misconception, first of all. So every development is happening in India. So if I talk about my company, so we are building best of class brains for the car, which is my 5 nanometer chip, which has 16 billion transistors. They are all designed, developed in India. I talk about battery management chips. We do those things in India. Connectivity, all high speed connectivity. We are going with 10G kind of Ethernet. So these advancement developments are happening. Radar, we are doing those chips all in Bangalore, even the software part. Recently, we acquired a company called Kinara AI. And this is a company just with 100 people doing hardware, doing software for edge AI chips. So 20 people, they develop a 16 nanometer silicon which can do AI on the edge. So I think a lot of innovation happening in the ecosystem. At the same time, the gap is that we are not connected. People are working in their own pockets. How can we connect? How can we at least get more and more Indian use cases? So I think that's, in my view, that's where we can improve to connect with the ecosystem, to get the use cases, so that we also learn from the ecosystem. We are building solutions which are global, but soon we will start building also solutions which are also for the local ecosystem.
Vinayaka, you want to throw your...
Okay, see, as I said, the need of ADAS is now. Yeah, so we can't waste time developing something, you know, where it's already available in some form in somewhere else. So coming to the volume point of view, at least in Continental, we have 2,000 engineers working on ADAS. And they have been working for 10 years. So whatever Continental is doing across the world, somewhere some thumbprint, you know, will be there. You know, there are some functions which are completely driven out of here. Having said that, I think it's very important that we work together because we need everybody's experience. And that is what we will continue to do from the company perspective. We will use the expertise as it is needed. And we all agree, as I mentioned, India is a very complex situation. It cannot be that, you know, some solution is there, we pluck it out of the thin air and we think we cannot just put it into the vehicle. However, having said that, I think it's also important to see how we develop our own rating systems here and so on. Because if we have that in front of us, then that also gives us the perspective, you know. And that once we have that perspective, the boundaries defined, you know, to say that this is the common minimum thing which needs to be there, then also it becomes easy for us to come with solutions which will appeal to the market. So I think all these as a factors will play a big role. And I'm sure nobody sitting in some part of, you know, any other part of the world, they cannot just visualize how things are happening in India. And I will just maybe take what ma'am was telling regarding the data. The magic pill is the data. You know, ADAS is data hungry. Yeah. And since ADAS is being developed or has been for a long time, all the test systems and all the tool chain is already available. Yeah. The only thing which is lacking from India perspective is the data. Once we have the data in the right format, you know, Manish was also talking about the DAS testing and so on and so forth, right? So with all these things, if we can bring this data in the usable form and we make use of all the, you know, state-of-the-art tool chain which is already there, we can quicken our you know, maturity of the products to meet the market, you know. That's how I see it, yeah.
Got it. So what I hear from you is a lot of work is happening out of India, right? That's a good segue to my next question to Dr. Sreekant. You know, this is serious technology and we need really highly qualified people. I'm sure people are working in these companies are doctorate holders, highly you know, qualified as far as technology is concerned. How do you see the availability of resources or rather availability of talent for us to be able to develop these kind of technologies going forward, right? And not just in terms of technology side, but also understanding human behavior side. There is a psychological aspect to it as well, which is totally a different science, right? So how is India faring on these areas?
Okay, so very interesting question, especially when it comes to the talent pool. When we talk about on the competencies, the skill set, and also the enablement of the engineering talent with respect to the upcoming and emerging technologies, it become a very much essential in terms of partnering together with the complete ecosystem. That's what I feel in terms of academics, institutes, research organizations. Everybody has to really tie up together in terms of nurturing these kind of technology and make the engineering talent ready for the future innovations. Nowadays, what is happening, though there are a lot of data oriented, as he rightly said about ADAS really hungry about on the data. Without data, we cannot able to really train the model, and we cannot able to run the programs. We cannot able to assess the situation scenarios and try to compute the futuristic control system which is really required for us to enable the safer navigation. Being said that, when it specifically comes to the talent pool, it is very much essential in terms of nurturing these technologies right from the root level in the education system. Still, as an industry, when we talk about on this emerging technology, we are seeing a lot of gap in terms of what we expect and what is available in the marketplace as on today. Because most of the young talent people, they are heavily trained with respect to the particular tools or a tool chain, but on the domain side, they are really lagging in terms of the practicality of the algorithm they are going to develop, because being in India in a service-oriented organization, but not too much heavy from the product side of the organization, it is more and more, it is becoming like a silos kind of a product development, which is not going to help in terms of getting the comprehensiveness of the technology that we are going to shape up for the future. So in that perspective, it is very much essential for us to create a good ecosystem in terms of imparting domain-specific expertise right from the roots of the education system, be the LiDAR technologies, fundamental technologies like LiDAR technologies, or it is the vision technologies, and the automotive-specific, like now it is the EV technologies, the SDV is going to shaping up, but people should be able to make the hands-on experience in the college days, especially during the internship programs, during the research programs. They need to really make the lot of utilization of the existing infrastructure, make the algorithms to learn the way it should be, and they need to be ready for the marketplace. If they are not able to do it, and if they say that yes, I am ABCD qualified with a specific tool, it may solve the purpose for the temporary being, but they may not be knowing what exactly the problem they are going to solve it. In that perspective, really the talent has to really equip right from the domain side of it as well as from the tool side of it.
Thank you. Thank you. As we come to the close, let me just ask an open question. Maybe we can start with ma'am. Vinayak just suggested that there has to be a rating system for ADAS performance, like NCAP rating. Your views on that? And we can take all your views as well.
So we have NCAP systems for normal safety, right? And we have now Bharat NCAP. We are talking about Bharat NCAP 2.0, where there will be ADAS functionalities. And we are discussing about ADAS functionalities which are required, which can be extended for the commercial vehicle to two-wheelers, and with the Indian use cases also. But it's a time to come. But I agree, we can have IADAS, India ADAS rating systems, which should be...
One more new term. IADAS.
And why? Because then what we are talking about is the technologies are global, they are being developed, but the solutions are local. And those solutions are important. The suitability and acceptability in Indian conditions are important. And that's how the rating could be with respect to suitability with the current conditions context that we do have. That's what I believe.
Thank you.
So from my perspective, I will define ADAS in a different way. So ADAS, if you want to really adopt in India, it should be, first thing is it should be adaptable, it should be dependable, it should be affordable, and it should be simple. Then only the technology will be reached to the common man.
Fantastic. Another cliche for us to take further.
In my view, I think because there are fantastic technologies in terms of radar, also LiDAR is also coming up with low-cost cameras, and we talk about edge AI to do much, means processing in a much easier and smarter way. What we see missing is also, I would say, people who are turning these technologies into systems which are usable systems. So I would like to also focus on the system development kind of skill development, so that we do those kind of system for Indian conditions. So that's what I would see a gap, because of course simple things we can definitely do it, but how do we do advanced, or I would say complex technology adoption, or at least development in this ecosystem, especially from the ADAS perspective. That's what I would see a need, and that's what at least I think we are all working at.
Thank you.
So from my side, as I said, it will help if we have a rating system or something which is customized to Indian. It could be called anything. I'm fine with that. I think we will memorize it. It's not a big deal as long as it's being used. It's being used, and as I said, I started my statement with affordability. That's very, very important. We can do, talking about LiDAR and all, that's all very expensive systems. I think simplicity has always been the way India needs to go forward. According to me, we need to concentrate on a system which will not cause damage to the users, road users. It could be anybody. It could be vulnerable road users, two-wheelers, or anything. Because two-wheeler is also something which we didn't talk about, which is very important, is because that is the most, we are world's largest two-wheeler, We need to also see in terms of what we can bring them, Because if we make cars and commercial vehicles more aware of the situation, right? Even as a result, even the vulnerable road users and the two-wheelers will also become safe. So that's also a very important topic. So from our side, we need to have a really focused approach to ensure that there's not going to be any collisions. And for that to be done, if we have a simple system, whatever the sensor it might be called, whatever the sensor technology is, because if it is not affordable, people will not buy it. And our Indian taxation system, it will only become more and more expensive. You bring in fancy stuff from outside, it is more expensive. To do it here, you don't have the volume. So all these factors play a very major role. So from my side, we need to look at the current situation and then define something which is adaptable faster, which will not add too much cost. There will always be cost. And we make use and we tune it in such a way that it becomes friendly to the user. It should be like a lift. You get into the lift, you press a button, you go. It should be like that. There should not be any training center. In India, people don't like all these things, Okay, you're going to use the system, come to the side, I will teach you for 10 hours. They will never do it. It should be very simple, turn it on, it seamlessly works, and it complements the user, That one odd time when the user dozes off or something,
As easy as using Instagram. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I think point well taken. The change has to be holistic. It cannot be in pockets, right? A truck adopted with the ADAS and a two-wheeler not adopted with the ADAS, we can't afford to lose the life of the two-wheeler person, right? It's just one life either ways. Anyways, so we are on top of time, so we'll take a few more questions from the audience if there are. I think there are not many questions. Maybe off the dais we can take a few questions. So I take this opportunity to thank all the panelists over here. It has been very insightful. Lots of ideas have been thrown at us. I'm sure we have more, some dots have been connected, but there are a few more dots that have been thrown. So certainly we'll take that home as inputs from the session. Thank you very much.